Hi, this is Jamie Magrich coming to you from my craft table. Today I'd like to show you this box that I made that holds cards. These are clean and simple cards, so it's just a single layer. So I actually have 6 cards in this box and 6 envelopes. If they were more dimensional, you probably wouldn't get as many. But I want to show you how I made the basic box, and you can decide how you want to decorate it. But let's get started. Okay, so for today I'm going to use the Painted Seasons bundle, or Painted Seasons stamp set, just because it stamps nicely and I just want to play with it. Make a box with that. I'm going to be using an Early Espresso, Granny Apple Green, Blueberry Bushel. I have a sheet of cardstock which is 7 inches by 11 inches. We're going to be needing a scoring tool of some sort. You can use a ruler and a stylus, that's fine, but I'm going to go ahead and use this. And the first thing we're going to do is just stamp the entire background. You could use designer series paper, that would be fine. But for today's video, I'm actually going to just go ahead and stamp the background. So let me get started. I'm going to start with this pine cone because I like it. I'm not going to ink it up. I got hair everywhere today. And I'm just going to cover the entire background. So there's not going to be any rhyme or reason as to how I'm stamping it. I'm just going to stamp it and turn it. And stamp it, turn it, cover the whole entire background. Make sure you're going off the edge so that it looks like it was designed that way. I love these stamps. They're so pretty. Make sure if you stamp off the edge that you do a complete inking again. See how this one is a little bit two-toned? That's because I stamped off the edge, and then when I stamped over here, I stamped off the edge, and then when I didn't re-ink it all the way, evidently. You might need to clean it off, I don't know, sometimes. But that's what that is from. Okay, so I'm done with that one. Off the camera, I have my chamois. I'm just going to wash these real fast so I don't have to worry about it later. Okay, I'm done with the brown ink. Let's get the Granny Apple Green opened. And I'm using this fern one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to overlap a little bit. Fill in some of these spaces. Should have probably turned it there, but that's alright. The reason I'm stamping it first, so you don't end up with ridges on your paper or spots where it wouldn't stamp because of the ridges from the folds in the paper. So that's why you would stamp it before you run the creases in it or fold it. That looks pretty good. One here. There. Okay. that one. Oh, I'll have to clean it better off camera. I got a lot of ink around the edges. Takes longer to clean it. Okay, now I'm going to put that one aside because I might do some of these with this blue. Blueberry bushel. And this little tiny leaf. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to just fill in a couple of these little spaces with this. Again, stamp over. Just trying to fill in this background. Just looked outside. I can't believe it's snowing. It's April 15th and it's snowing. I know it's been known to snow on Easter here, but it's still depressing. Hate snow. I like the change of seasons, but I'm ready for spring. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, then I'm going to take this little starry one, and I'm just going to do a few of those here and there with the same blueberry bushel. Again, I'm just filling in some of this white space. Sometimes white space is nice because it lets your eye rest, but in this instance I kind of want it to be busy because it's just the style of the box. I'm almost done here. Just a few more. Basically, we're making our own designer series paper this way. And I have a foam mat underneath here. It's not a Stampin' Up! One because it's larger than the Stampin' Up! One. And I needed it to cover more area, so. Okay, and see here, this is, I pushed a little too hard. So you just want to make sure you're just putting it down and picking it up. You don't need to push hard and mush it into there. You just need to put it down and pick it up. Okay. Good job. Alright, we're done with stamping. Put the inks away so we don't mess up. Alright, now we're going to bring in our scoring tool. Make sure you can see. We can take this out of the way, we don't need that. Okay, and again, this is 7 inches by 11 inches. Can you see it? Okay. And on the 7-inch side, so it's going to be in there this way with the short edge at the top, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. And it's 6.5 inches. Okay, and then, and let me bring this in so you can see. This, I don't know if you can see it still. But, so I just did these two, this one here and this one here, okay? And then I'm going to turn it this way. Now, In this instance, if your paper has a definite pattern in which you want it to go, like this one, I have the pattern going up and down this way. Think that out before you do this next part. Like I would have had it upside down in here for this next step. Or if you want it to be so that the pattern's going this way, make sure you're planning that out. But for this instance, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now we're going to score it at 2 inches, at 2.5 inches, at 4.5 inches. We're only going to score from the edge to the 1/2 inch mark there. That's just to mark it so that we know where to cut it, so we can flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, let me turn it back over. Well, actually, you can probably see it better on this side, but and then we're going to score at 7 inches, and then at 8 inches, and we're going to score at every 1/8 of an inch between there. Okay, so, oops, I missed one. I got one more to do. There we go. So can you see all the scores in there? I don't know if you can. There you go. See them? Okay. Let me put you on pause for a quick minute. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I had an interruption. I just needed to make sure I didn't have a package sitting on my porch. Alright. So now we're going to pick this up. And this, from this little 4.5 inch mark, this little 1/2 inch section on both of these, we're going to cut that out. So let me go ahead and do that. So we're going to snip up here. And I cut just to the other opposite side of that score line, so that it looks a little bit neater. Okay, so we're going to cut this one off. You're able to see what I'm doing here, I hope. Alright. Alright, then we have a rectangle and a little square and a rectangle. We're going to trim on these little rectangles. And I don't think I measured correctly for this one, but that's alright. So I'm looking at it, it's like, it doesn't look right. So now we're going to fold all these lines and get our bone folder and make sure they're all nice and crisp. And the reason I scored it on this side is so that any cracking wouldn't be on the outside of the box. And you're going to score on every one of these little lines, because it's kind of going to make a flexible top. And you could do just a 1/2 inch worth of them, that would be fine too. Maybe I'll do another one fast just with colored paper and show you. These ones I'm not burnishing, I'm just making sure they're folding on them. And I'm just kind of pinching the paper and coaxing it to fold where it's scored. The first and the last one I score harder. Come on, one more. It's the only filly part. Okay, score these up. Okay, now these two little tabs here, we're going to take our snips, we're going to cut a little bit off from the outside edge to the corner. Just a tiny little wedge on those. Okay. Now we're going to fold this tab in. We're going to glue this tab, the little tab there, and then fold this one over the top of it. Okay, and I see for some reason this is too short. It should be the same length as this. So let's see if I measured it incorrectly or if I scored incorrectly. It's 2 inches, a 1/2 inch. Yeah, I scored it incorrectly. It should be at 4.5 inches. Isn't that what I got written down? I've got 4.5 inches written down. So it's scored at 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and then at 4.5 inches you go to the score. But it'll still work anyway. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some tape. Go ahead and use the sticky tape or tearing tape. This one, on this little tab, I'm going to put it on the back of the tab. On this one, normally I do it up on the whole thing, but since I cut these too short, I'm going to just do it up part way so there's not sticky showing behind it. Okay. Unstick. Alright. Burnish these down so they stay nice. This is a silicone bone folder. I just really like the way it creases and it doesn't leave shiny marks on my paper. Alright, so we're going to fold this one in. This one's going to go on top of that one. See? And then this one here is going to go on top of that one, so it'll hide that little tab, and there won't be any rough edges on the inside for your cards to stick to. Just make sure you get it lined up at the bottom here. Okay, so let's do this one. Fold this one in. Take off this little tearing tape. Tuck that on over. Okay, on this one here, take off this back. Make sure my bottom is lined up and the back edge is lined up, and tape it down. Okay, so basically that's our box. Okay, and you want to roll this over and fold it so that it goes around. And you can, on the one that I did previous, now you can tuck the end in this way, underneath here, which works. If it's a solid color or a paper, that didn't matter. If you had like this, a different pattern than this, it would work fine. And on this one, I just took circle punch and put dimensionals only on this side, and then tucked it in behind like that, but it pops up a little bit. Okay, so on this one, I think I'm going to use, I'll go ahead and use these same cards that are in here so that I have something inside it. Okay, so it would look like that. And again, with this one, you can either round these corners, tuck this inside like that. I liked it better on the outside. And I'm going to take a piece of ribbon, wrap it all the way around this way, make sure it's long enough to tie. Well, it would help if I had scissors that would cut ribbon. And tie it. And then we have a nice little box. Make a gift box to put our ribbons in. And again, make sure you're measuring that little tab, that little 1/2 inch score line at 4.5 inches, not at 4 inches. Then you won't have this little piece hanging on the back. It would be solid all the way up. But there you go. It's a nice little box. Well, thank you for joining me at my craft table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And again, this is basic. You can decorate it and create it any way you want. Make sure you tag me on it so I see what you're making. Have a great day.